Kim Kardashian, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Fuck, what is the current state of you and Kanye's co-parenting relationship?
Finally, someone's asking the right questions. What do you think co-parenting with Kanye West is like? It's not easy. I mean, I raise the kids. Whenever he'll call for them and ask, it's probably been a couple months since we've heard from him. It's
How
a
do
divorce.
you
Every time he is asked, I will always let them see their father.
Kim
That's just who
Kardashian
I
gets real about her toxic marriage to Kanye West and reveals what finally pushed her to walk away. What you're about to witness is one of the most raw, honest, and deeply personal conversations Kim Kardashian has ever had about her marriage and divorce. This isn't just another celebrity interview. This is a story about survival, self-preservation, and the incredibly difficult choice between staying for comfort and leaving for sanity. If you've ever struggled with a toxic relationship, questioned whether you should stay or go, or wondered how someone finds the strength to choose themselves, then you absolutely need to stay with us until the very end. Because what Kim reveals in the final moments of this interview will completely change how you see her story. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single second of this conversation. It gets deeper, more shocking, and more inspiring as we go. So buckle up, because this is going to be an emotional journey you won't forget. The reality television icon and business mogul is finally pulling back the curtain on her troubled marriage to rapper Kanye West, and she's sharing the heartbreaking details about what ultimately drove her to make the life-changing decision to file for divorce. In a deeply revealing and emotionally charged new episode of the wildly popular Call Her Daddy podcast that dropped this Wednesday, the Kardashian star sat down for what can only be described as one of her most vulnerable conversations to date. She courageously opened up about the truly toxic nature of her marriage to the controversial rapper, and for the first time, she's revealing exactly what she considers to be the absolute final straw that shattered their once picture-perfect relationship. Kim, who is now 44 years old, and Kanye, currently 48, officially called it quits back in 2021, after spending nearly 7 years as husband and wife. And that's not even counting the additional years they spent together before tying the knot, bringing their total time as a couple to well over a decade. The former power couple's highly publicized divorce was officially finalized the year following their separation. Together, they share 4 absolutely beautiful children: their eldest daughter North, who is now 12, their son Saint, who is 9 years old, their daughter Chicago, who is 7, and their youngest son Psalm, who is 6 years old. The warning signs she maybe didn't want to see. When the podcast's charismatic host Alex Cooper posed the question to Kim about what were some of the early signs that indicated her relationship with Kanye was fundamentally changing and starting to deteriorate, the Skims founder and beauty entrepreneur offered a surprisingly candid and self-reflective response. People can say that there were, definite signs, and maybe I just didn't notice them, or perhaps I wasn't really paying close attention to them the way I should have been, Kim admitted with notable honesty. And I think when someone experiences their very first, mental break or mental health crisis, your instinct is to want to be incredibly supportive, and you desperately want to help them figure that situation out, and you want to really dive deep into that with them and just be there for them through thick and thin. Kim explained thoughtfully when discussing Kanye, who had previously received a diagnosis of bipolar disorder back in 2016. It's worth noting that earlier this year, Kanye publicly rejected and disputed his past bipolar diagnosis, instead making the claim that he's actually autistic rather than bipolar. But when someone absolutely isn't willing to make the necessary changes that I genuinely think would be incredibly healthy and truly beneficial for maintaining a strong relationship, it makes it really, really hard to continue moving forward in a relationship that has the potential to become toxic or has already become toxic. She continued with evident emotion in her voice. When you have children involved in the equation, it's definitely so much harder to leave than it is to simply stay and try to make it work. And the reality is that any decision you make changes everyone's life, your kids' lives, everyone's lives. And it changes them forever. The devoted mother of 4 went on to add with palpable weight in her words, once you finally get to a place where you deeply feel like things are not going to change for the better or improve in any meaningful way, then you absolutely have to make some incredibly serious choices about what you're going to do moving forward. And facing that reality is a really, really hard thing to come to terms with. Choosing her mental health and her children's well-being. Kim went on to emphasize and make it crystal clear that she ultimately had to put her precious children first, no matter what that meant for her marriage. Once my own mental health starts to become affected and begins to deteriorate, and then I realize I can't parent in the way that I desperately need to, and I can't be fully present and completely focused on my children, then there's gotta be at least one of us that can show up for them, she said with unmistakable determination. And I had to make the difficult decision to save myself in order to be a better, more present, and more emotionally available mom for everyone. And I truly think, like, when everyone gets older and matures, they'll be able to fully understand it and see the full picture of why I made the choices I made. After the reality star continued to recall in vivid detail how her increasingly difficult marriage was severely impacting her and profoundly affecting her entire family unit, she finally revealed what she considered to be the absolute final straw. The breaking point in her relationship with Kanye that made her realize she couldn't continue. The final straw: public attacks and feeling unsafe. What was it for you that was truly the final straw that actually got you to be like, "That's it, I'm done"? Cooper asked Kim directly, and the star brought up how her ex-husband would repeatedly and publicly badmouth and criticize her beloved family members. "There was just a tremendous amount of things that I simply wouldn't deal with anymore and couldn't tolerate," she recalled, her voice reflecting the pain of those memories. "I really didn't like the awful feeling of someone constantly talking bad about my kids, my grandmother, my aunts,
Every time
just
he
all
is
of those
asked,
terrible
I will
feelings
always
that come
let
with
them
that.
see their
If
father.
someone
That's
genuinely
just who
feels
I
that way about your family, then we obviously shouldn't be together. And maybe they shouldn't be airing out and publicly sharing a lot of deeply personal stuff that should remain private." Kim then added something even more troubling, that she fundamentally did not feel safe in multiple ways throughout her marriage. Just not feeling safe at all, you know? And not even necessarily physically, but just like maybe emotionally unsafe or even, financially unsafe and unstable, she revealed, before then providing an alleged example that perfectly illustrates the chaos and unpredictability she was living with. "I would come home from a long day and we had like 5 incredibly expensive Lamborghinis sitting in our garage, and I'd come home the next day and they'd all suddenly be completely gone if he was experiencing an episode. And I'd be like, oh, wait a minute, where are all our cars? Like, where's my brand new car? And it would turn out that, oh, he had given them all away to all of his friends, just like that." Kim claimed that this exact scenario happened again on another occasion, to which she said she eventually reacted by telling his friends, "You know what? Just keep them, guys. They're yours now." "I genuinely didn't know what you were gonna get when you wake up each morning, and that's like a really deeply unsettling feeling to live with day in and day out," she added when speaking about life with Kanye. That lack of stability and unpredictability was honestly a really big thing and a major issue. Finding herself again. Fashion, art, and self-worth. When asked about the biggest change and transformation she discovered within herself after she made the monumental decision to call it quits with Kanye, Kim admitted something surprising, that she had serious concerns and worries about her place and standing in the fashion and art worlds due to Kanye's massive presence and influence in those industries. "I walked away from that marriage genuinely thinking that I would have to live a completely different life, that I would probably not have any connection to anyone in the fashion world or the art world, because that was such a huge and integral part of his life and his identity," Kim explained candidly, adding that despite those fears, she still felt that her own happiness and mental well-being was absolutely worth that potentially significant sacrifice. But fortunately, and perhaps surprisingly, the All's Fair actress said the complete opposite ultimately happened, in the most beautiful and unexpected way. "Some of my biggest, most exciting projects came about and materialized after I made that incredibly difficult decision to leave," Kim explained, with evident pride and amazement. "Some of my very best relationships and collaborations with fashion industry leaders and art world figures, and all of these amazing things I genuinely thought I had to give up forever, or was explicitly told I wasn't going to have any more access to. It turned out that it was actually the universe rewarding me and showing me in the most clear way that I was moving in
It's a
exactly
divorce.
the right
Every
direction.
time he
And
is
I think that's
asked,
a
I will
really
always
important
let them
and
see their
truly
father.
powerful thing
That's
to
just
pay
who I-
close attention to. The signs the universe sends you. And pay attention to life and what happens, and how you can be guided and directed to make really good, healthy decisions for yourself. I can honestly say I have no regrets whatsoever about my choice." I have 4 absolutely amazing, beautiful babies that came from that relationship, she added with unmistakable love and gratitude in her voice. The reality of co-parenting. It's not easy. Elsewhere in the wide-ranging conversation, Kim opened up candidly about the current state of her co-parenting relationship with Kanye and what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. What do you think co-parenting with Kanye West is actually like? She asked, somewhat rhetorically with a knowing look, before adding with brutal honesty, "It's definitely not easy by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, the reality is that I raise the kids full-time. They live with me in my home. I genuinely welcome and would love to have a great, healthy, and positive relationship between my kids and their dad," Kim continued, making it clear that her ex-husband knows this and emphasizing that she actively pushes for and encourages that relationship all the time because she knows how important it is. "But I also have to protect them when it's time for that, and when it's necessary," she said seriously. "And it goes in waves and phases, and honestly, it's a tremendous amount of work and emotional labor." She noted that she has the very best memories of her own late father, the legendary attorney Robert Kardashian, before giving a thoughtful shout-out to her sister Khloe Kardashian's ex-partner, NBA player Tristan Thompson, praising him by saying that he puts their kids to bed every single night and takes them to school every morning during the basketball off-season, setting an example of present co-parenting. For context, Khloe and Tristan share their daughter True, who is 7, and their son Tatum, who is 3. When Cooper asked Kim the pointed question about the last time Kanye had actually seen their children, she paused thoughtfully and replied, whenever he'll reach out and call for them and ask to see them. It's probably been a couple months since we've actually heard from him or had any communication." This raw, unfiltered conversation shows us a side of Kim Kardashian that reminds us that behind the glamour, the fame, and the billion-dollar empire, there's a woman who made one of the hardest decisions of her life, choosing herself and her children over a relationship that was slowly destroying her from the inside out. Her story is a powerful testament to the strength it takes to walk away, rebuild, and thrive.